Okay, so this particular project that Clara's going to talk about was, I think it came out of an industry meeting where we said one of the things that needed to happen was that every premises needed to have its own emergency plan. So then we connected with Clara, and she came up with this really great way to help every poultry premises have a poultry disease emergency planning tool or plan. So she's going to walk you through that quickly. And if you want to get online and take a look at your own farms, you can do that too. So Clara.
All right, and we can start. All right, so as Carol said, this is an initiative to help producers on the ground really prepare for a disease outbreak without having to go through pages and pages and pages of policy documents that were hard to understand and are not fun to read. So it's an interactive website tool that I'm going to walk through. It's pretty easy to register. Right now, registration uses your name, email, and you create a personal password. And I'll talk about security of the site throughout the presentation. But for now, I'm going to log into a test account that I have made. And it's pre-filled out with a lot of the fields, so I'll go through it pretty fast, and I'll give you a preview of the information and the different functionalities of the tool. All right, so when you get into the tool, because I've already filled out this profile, it comes up as your farm's name. If you have multiple premises, you can have multiple on this tool, and you just use the toggle here to flip through them to edit or access that information. So I'll go through the registration process. There's 5 different sections to it, and the amount of time it takes really depends how many fields you need to enter out, but we've kept it pretty condensed. So the first one is just finding an accurate location for your farm. So you would type in your address and then hit Find My Location. If it doesn't find the actual location correctly, as some mapping functions don't, you would drag this target and it would find the actual farm location. And as you can see here, you'll be able then to, the tool will record the proper GPS coordinates, and you, the producer, will be able to confirm this is my farm, not the stop sign down the road. The second tool we've built into this here is to request or verify your farm ID. So if you select this, it's going to pop up this request form, which will go directly to the Minnesota Board of Animal Health. And it's pre-filled out the information that you've put into the tool already, your contact information, farm address, email, and then just some other questions here. And so if you want to check that the board and you are using the same number and that's the correct number, you would just select it through this tool.
If you put send request, if you push send request, where would that go?
It goes to the Minnesota Board of Animal Health.
Can you repeat that question?
Oh, yeah. She's asking if you hit request and verify and hit send, it gets sent to the Minnesota Board of Animal Health. The complete form would be sent in, and then they would communicate with you through email or your phone number to give you a new premise ID or say you have the correct one or an incorrect one and get those issues solved so that on paperwork they're correct. All right, and so then this is just a basic equipment form of the basic equipment that's going to be needed during a disease response process, and as you know, more to be added. So do you have a skid steer loader? Are there bathrooms on site or not, so that they know if bathroom facilities need to be brought on site if you do have an outbreak? And then once I'm done filling this out, I'll explain to you how all this entered information is going to be used. So the property map has been built in so that response teams sent out from the Board of Animal Health will have an accurate picture of the layout of your farm, specifically where the poultry barns are, if you know, if there's a road or water they have to be concerned about, where your dead bird disposal is. And so it's just through a drop-down bin here. So for poultry barns, if you add a poultry barn, there's also been built in additional information about that barn. And this will help direct what type of materials would need to be brought on site to depopulate this barn. So when you add an item, like dead bird disposal, you can add any notes and save, and you would drag it to dead bird disposal. So this will save a lot of time for the initial person from the board who comes onto your premise. They no longer have to hand draw these maps, and they'll know what driveway to appropriately go into to avoid your line of separation and save time. So a lot of this is pre-collecting the information from you when you have peace of mind. It's not during a wartime on your farm with a disease, so that less information is missed or labeled inaccurately. So we're down to the second to the last section here of registration, and it just has to do whether you are a contract grower or whether you own and operate your own poultry. So if it's someone else, it's the contact name, full address, email, processing plant affiliation there. And if it's other, of course, you can type in what it is. The last part here is for kind of who's going to be coming onto your farm. And so an authorized poultry testing agent is required to take samples during an outbreak. And here, if you don't have one, you can read in this information here how to become one yourself or get a person registered to your farm. But if you do have one, you can input their information there so that you have it all in one place within the tool when you need to start calling these people. Your veterinarian, of course. And then for daily activities, we've defined these as service people who come onto your farm in a regular and scheduled manner. And they'd be the people that you would need to call to stop service on your farm if birds were to become sick. And so I filled out a lot of these. You can select which days they come onto your farm, who the contact number is, the company, and this is really a way just to organize them all in one place. The joke is that it's easy to forget the number for 911 when you need the number for 911. And so you want to have all these in one place. So you can add as many other fields as you want, but we've put in some examples here as well. It's going to make me fill it out. So this is part of filling out the tool that might take a little bit longer during registration. However, that's why you want to do it beforehand, so that all these contacts are in one place, so that you don't have to take an hour to find all these specific numbers and track down the correct person at the U.S. Post Office to stop your mail delivery. All right. So that's the registration process, and that information is used in a couple different ways in this tool. One of the ways it's used is pulling information for the first contact questionnaire, which is used by the Board of Animal Health to collect information about your farm, but a lot of it's going to be pre-filled out, and I'll show you that in the appraisal step. If we go to let me back up. These are the 6 main steps of a disease outbreak response plan. And the information put in this tool has been tailored for the producer on the ground, making it simple and what they need to be concerned about so that you know how to prepare, how you can be involved, and what to expect, and not have to worry about what the regulators are doing. It's just how they'll interact with you. So alert and self-quarantine, we defined alert as how to increase the biosecurity on all incoming materials on your farm to prevent disease getting onto your farm. So it's stopping unnecessary traffic if your neighbor's birds are sick, educating workers. It's just a little bit of higher biosecurity when other farms in your area or far away are sick. And the self-quarantine one is when you're going to use, hold on. Yeah, so this is the daily activities form I was talking about, which can be used both for alert and self-quarantine steps. So as you can see, it's easily printable. If you're using this on a mobile device, this website is also mobile capable, so there's no squishing and trying to view it. It reformats itself. So you can also just download this form onto your phone and have them all in the same place with what days they'll be coming on, so that you know what days to tell them to stay off. So like I said, this is condensed information for what you'll need to know there. And each of these steps will have additional resources that'll either link to a document or an additional website if you do want to look further into stuff. So testing, we've built in submission forms for avian influenza here. And these are printable, and they already have your correct premise ID if it's put into the tool with a barcode, your address, who your affiliation is, and then in the instructions, it's going to walk you through which options to select, who's paying for it. So this will just show you how all that information you entered in registration is gathered and put into this form. And there is a list of approved Board of Animal Health personnel that have access to this information in light of an outbreak. They're invited to the tool. They have to create a secure password, and that list is managed through the board, through Greg Suskovich. And so, because we know that location of farm and all this information is very private, and so we've taken security of this website very seriously. So as you add barns, the barn field will get as big as you possibly need it. It's going to already record the length and width, so you don't have to be measuring or trying to figure out length of barn when you just want to get your birds to populate it as fast as possible. Here's that map that we'll print with all the added, with all the information there ready to go. So it's basically they'll come onto your farm and just confirm that all this information is still accurate, which will save a lot of time and get the depopulations crews to your farm faster. So as you can see, they're pretty short one-page information here. And that was my goal, is to make it simple, because I didn't like to have to read it all, and I don't think anybody else would have to like to read it. So when caring for your birds is the most important. So we'll go to the disposal tool. Depopulation gives information on the different depopulation options and what you should be aware of and how to prepare. And one cool part of this tool is to input your bird count, the average weight, and then there's some other select features over here. So you're going to need, you can prepare for how many feet of compost piles you might need, or if you want to bring them to a dumpster or bury them, how big your pit is going to need, just to qualify if you're going to have space. Is 10,000 birds good? And we'll do turkeys. All right. So it has all the calculations built in, so it can give you an idea of how much additional carbon material you're going to need, whether it's litter or additional from off-site. You can change the burial width and how many dumpsters you're going to need. So you need 16 dumpsters if you want to move all these birds off-site. And then virus elimination goes through the new procedures of heating and disinfecting, so that you could know the process to take and if you should be responsible for it or if you want an outside crew to do that. So that's a pretty quick overview. The handout also is going to give you kind of the taglines that's included in each of the tools. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anything.
If procedures change, will this change, or is this?
Yep, so this tool has been built on a really easy platform to edit or change. So right now I'm the manager of the website, so I can go in, change a phone number, change a document. It's been created to change quickly and easily. And we can also, in registration, there's a little disclaimer that during an outbreak, we would be able to email you relevant, specific documents. Like, okay, there's a threat of it infecting kids under 5, you know, or you know, there's been any really fast changing information. So it's another way to contact you directly and quickly. Are there any other questions? Mm-hmm. Yep, so there's security on this website, and it's up for, we're always going to be checking that it's up to the highest standards possible. So right now, it's built on a platform that requires a password access. And then and the person, right now it's me, who has access to changing, you know, if there's a typo on manage an outbreak or something. I can't access your farm information. That's sealed to you only under your password. So I can you know, if you forget your password, you can request a password, but the system handles that all on its own. So even I, as the manager of the website, cannot see the GPS coordinates of your farm because I don't work for the Board of Animal Health, and so that's protected information. So the board, like I said, during an outbreak, we would then open up access to this tool to the case managers. There's, I think, 12 of them. And then they would be alerted that premise 12895, that's your premise. Go search it in the tool, and then they'd print that first contact questionnaire form. And then once an outbreak is over, we would take away access for those people to have access to this tool. So like I said, for the board people to have access, they have to be invited through the tool through an email invite, which is sent by me, and then they have to set up their profile, which is connected to that email address only, and a private password that they set up. So it's hosted on a secure server, just top of the line right now. So.
And the board people are identified by Greg Suskovic, and then identified to you. And so if they're not on that list, they don't get access.
They don't get an invite. So.
Anybody here have any questions about this tool?
All farms have to be cataloged in the state.
The question was, all farms have to be cataloged in the state?
That's the hope, because the more farms that get signed up and use this tool, we're going to bring everybody up to the same level of knowledge about a disease response process, and then we'll be able to search and print the first contact questionnaire on all of them. So that's what we're driving for, and it'll make it all very much smoother, which is the hope. Yep. So it's active for registration now. You can go in and register. There's also at any time.
Is it required? Is that what you were asking?
Is there a deadline?
Is it required, or is this an elective thing to do?
It's not required, unless it's not required by us. We're the University of Minnesota, so we can't require you to do anything. But highly recommended. It's
encouraged as a tool. We're hoping that it has enough value where you could read those 6 pages and know what's going on instead of trying to puzzle through it.
So we added a section in here. Clara added a section on alert and self-quarantine. So that was derived from 2 places. The British Columbia folks in the Fraser Valley, and in the Netherlands in the Gelderzee Valley. So the Gelderzee Valley had an outbreak of, in 2003, I think, where, they nearly wiped out the entire poultry industry in the Netherlands. More than 400 people were infected with that virus, and 1 person died. And in British Columbia, they had an outbreak, more than 400 farms affected. Those 2 places that had catastrophic outbreaks developed this idea of self-quarantine. And when the Netherlands got hit with the same H5N2 that we got, they had 4 farms that were infected, and they managed to control that outbreak very quickly. British Columbia had 10. So we think that some of these tools and some of these ideas can really help you to save your farm. So it may not be required. It will never, I doubt that it would ever be required, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, the hope of this tool is really to help a producer know how they could take responsibility for protecting their farm instead of just waiting and trying to figure out what the government response people wanted you to do, or did they leave you out of the loop? So it's an effort to give you a condensed 6-step process that you can walk through. You have these documents you can print. They're all printable very easily through the tool. Print them, hang them in your flyer, just that they're there in a bullet pointed form, which didn't exist during an outbreak. So just to clear up any confusion and really give the producer a little bit more investment in the process.
Other questions?
Nope. Nope. So really it's a tool to help you organize your information, collect information that was really written through the lenses of what should a producer know so that he or she can be prepared and be involved. It doesn't alert anybody at all. So it was really a tool for you guys. And we're always open for more suggestions on how to make it better, or if you want additional information or additional online tools that would be helpful. You can always, like I said, if you're on the tool, create profile, you can just email any questions or suggestions through there, because we want to develop it and grow it more.
So for anybody that went through HiPath last year that had farms that got hit, is there any insight from you? Would this have helped? How much would this have helped?
I do have a question from online, whether farms in other states could use this tool.
So right now we're in the works of getting funding to grow this tool out for other states. And so that is the hope, to grow it out for other states. Yep, that's the plan. So it's coming soon. Minnesota was the pilot state to work out the whole concept of the tool so that we could quickly grow it to other states.
Other questions here?
Yep, and so we're still...
Want to repeat the question?
Yep, so he's wondering how will people be informed if there's changes or updates to the system. And we're still working all the details out, but like I said, we'll be able to send emails directly just to the producer list. So maybe on an annual or biannual basis, we just, hey, just a reminder, go on, make sure that you didn't build a new barn and it's not mapped. If there was large content changes, like a policy change to the process, we would also send out an email with a blurb. This is the change. There it is. So, it's not going to be a marketing tool or anything like that, but it's just going to be used to send any changes and just remind you to go on and make sure that you have the correct phone numbers on your daily contacts and such. So it would be through the email that you create your account through.
And the Board of Animal Health accesses my information, can I have an alert on my email that says, okay, somebody's accessing your farm information?
Currently, it's not set up that way, but it could be activated such that you would get an alert.
A level of security to me as a farm owner, like, this is legit or it isn't legit.
Yep. That's really good. And this, we're going to make those tweaks to the system. So that's the kind of suggestion that's really great.
What was the first part of that question, Clara?
He wanted to know if there's a way that if the Board of Animal Health accessed his profile, that he could be alerted.
Okay.
So, Clara, I have two questions. One of them is on the location of that driveways and where they take the lat long. Is that intended to be where the barns are, or if we've got a half-long mile driveway, is it where you get off the public road, where you would mark your premise?
So you're talking about the mapping functionality here?
I'm talking about the mapping, and then do you have like primary or secondary type driveways that would be earmarked? I mean, do you have that built into your program?
They're built into the drop downs here, and this is one of the things where I can add as many things as we want to this list, and we'll be working on making them as clear as possible. So we have point of entry driveway, which is currently listed as E. We have driveway other. For the GPS coordinates, you know, it's just defined as where this bullseye is dropped. And if it needs to be more specific than just an arbitrary, let's drop it on the house or the barn, we can add in a little tour tutorial for that, for better instruction.
Okay, thank you. And I think with the 24-hour depop requirement or suggestion or thing that USDA is talking about, I hope that people who fill this in never have to use it. But if you do, it certainly points people in the right direction very quickly, and I think it's just a real proactive step. Is it required? Absolutely not. Is it really strongly encouraged? Yes.
Do you have any farms actually enrolled in it now?
We have a couple. So we've been working on getting it out through MTGA, and I presented at a couple different conferences. And then we're going to be working with the U.S. Poultry and Egg provided the money for the build out of this, so we'll be working with them and their members to get it out. So that's the phase we're in now that it's deployed and active. So spread it around, and we have the little fact sheet that we'll be giving out to people too.
Any other questions?
Anything on your end, Abby?
Nope.
All right. Well, that's all. And like I said, if you have want to contact me, I work at the University of Minnesota, and you can talk to me after, or I can send out an email, or just contact me through the tool, which you don't have to actually log into the tool to use the contact form, and this will be sent right to me.
So what's the URL for the tool?
Yep, so the URL is poultrydiseaseplanning.com.